Good morning. Man, I'm glad to see all of y'all out today. What a great day to be at church. Welcome to First Unitarian Church. I'm delighted that you're here. If you are joining us for the first time, you are our honored guest, and we're especially glad to see you here on this holiday weekend. Welcome. If you're here in person, please meet us at our welcome table. It's right outside this door in our fellowship hall after service. We would love to get to know you and introduce ourselves to you. If you're joining us online, welcome to you. We're also glad that you're here with us. You can have a look at our website, slcuu.org, or our social media channels. That's a way that we can introduce ourselves to you in a virtual space. Welcome to all. I have a few announcements as we begin, and before we get into this thing too deep, I got a praise report. Y'all know I love a praise report. Did you know that our Women's Sacred Circle has been doing earth-based circles in this church for 10 years? 10 years. They are a living embodiment of our sixth source, spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. Thank you, Women's Circle, for bringing this richness to our community. Now, here's what's coming up. It's a busy month, right? It's Pride Week, finally, when we need something to celebrate. And of course, our congregation will be celebrating in this community all week long. First, Thursday evening at 7 o'clock, please join the Utah Pride Interfaith Coalition for the annual Pride Interfaith Worship Service. It's a celebration of all the queer-affirming religious communities of the Salt Lake area. This year's service will be at First Baptist Church. It's right down the street from us. It's a nice short walk, and you can park anywhere along 13th East and get down there. All are welcome to attend, and we'd love to see you there. Then come see us at our booth at the Pride Festival, Saturday and Sunday. And then join us here next Sunday. We will have our annual Pride worship service here at the church starting at 9 o'clock. It's a short service, just about 30 minutes, so all who want to head downtown for the parade can do so. And yes, we will be marching in the Pride Parade. We're going to be at the very end this year, where the Pride Interfaith Coalition will be carrying the giant rainbow flag. The meeting place will be the parking lot of the old post office. That's what they tell me. I don't know where it is. Y'all know. At 2nd West and Pierpont Avenue. That I can find. We'll send this information out this week, so you don't have to try to remember. I'm just putting a bug in your ear. Here's a couple of other things as we wind down the church year. June 11th, there's going to be a dance party at church. A dance party. Lee Schuster, our friend, and his big band are playing a dance party, on the plaza to benefit our church. Tickets are $45, and today is the last day. Yes, we're putting a fire under you. If you want to go, $45 today. What time does it start? 7. Thank you, whoever that. Oh, Kathy. Thank you.
Michelle? No. Weren't we deciding today's not the last day? It's not today only. They're 40. Today,
Oh, my bad.
Only the day they're $40.
Okay, so you get a $5 discount today. My bad. I'm sorry.
But you can still get them after today. But
Okay. Yes, you can get tickets after today, but today they're $40. Tomorrow they're going to be $45. Are we good? Huh? Oh, buy them in Elliott Hall. What about online folks?
Absolutely.
Okay, online folks, yes. We want y'all to come out and dance too.
Will they be $50 a day after?
No, we're not going there. Good question, though. All right, then Sunday the 12th, very next day, don't dance too hard because we want you back here at 10 o'clock for our annual flower ceremony. Worship starting at 11. It's the last regular worship service of the church year. We ask everyone to bring a long-stemmed flower with you. but we will have some extras for those who forget. It's a really beautiful intergenerational service, so please come and bring your kids. And then after church that day will be our annual picnic at Sugar House Park. We'll be at the Hidden Grove Pavilion. It's a different one than we usually do, but there's better parking, so it's a good trade-off. We're still looking for 2 people to cook. Yes, nobody has volunteered yet. If you are a good cook on the grill, and I know some of you are, we need 2 of you. We're also inviting all of those who attend to make a donation to help cover the costs of the park reservation and the food. It's $5 per adult, $4 per kid. Please don't let this stop you from coming. If you can't swing the donation, we want you there anyway. You can make the donation with the little QR code in the pew in front of you, do it through Breeze, or stop by the office and talk to Stephanie. She always has a way to take your money. You don't have to worry. And then I promise this is the last one. The Sunday after that begins our summer forum. It's a little change from our usual worship. This year's organizers, under the direction of the amazing Mark Rothaker, have really put together a splendid lineup of speakers from the community and from within our congregation to explore issues that are important to many UUs and help us imagine a better future together. Childcare will be provided, as well as in-person coffee and virtual coffee. So please include the forum in your summer plans. Now, let us begin this Memorial Day weekend worship with the lighting of the chalice. Today I light it with these words, which probably will be familiar to you, often attributed to Lao Tzu. If there is to be peace in the world, there must be peace in the nations. If there is to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. If there is to be peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbors. If there is to be peace between neighbors, there must be peace in the home. If there is to be peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart.
Where's your lighter?
Sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. Yes, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. You used to rock me in the cradle of your arms. You used to hold me till the pains of life were gone. You said you'd comfort me in times like these, and now I need you, and now I need you, and you are gone. So I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. Since you've gone and left me, there's been so little beauty, but I know I saw it clearly through your eyes. Now the world outside is such a cold and bitter place. Here inside I have few things that will console. And when I try to hear your voice above the storms of life, then I remember that I was told. Yes, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. Yes, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. I think on the things that made me feel so wonderful when I was young. I think on the things that made me laugh, made me dance, made me sing. I think all the things that made me grow into a being full of pride. Think all these things, for they are true. And I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. I thought that you were gone, but now I know you're with me. You are the voice that whispers all I need to hear. I know a please, a thank you, and a smile would take me far. I know that I am you and you are me and we are one. I know that who I am is numbered in each grain of sand. I know that I've been blessed again and over again and again and again. Yes, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. Yes, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes.
I spent a lot of time in my garden this week, overcome with grief and anger and fear over another horrific school shooting. I needed to ground myself, feel the earth in my fingers, replant the chestnut tree that had wondrously sprouted from a chestnut buried deep within my carrots. I brought my children with me, listening to them prattle off about the end of the school year festivities that encompass their days currently. And my heart breaks all over again for the children that had celebrated, just like my own, whose lives were cut short by unconscionable violence. In my grief, I fell back into what was familiar, calling my representatives, reading as much as I could about our broken legal system, focusing my grief into what my faith calls me to do, action. I also sat with this grief and pain and fear and prayed, which is what I offer for you today. A moment to sit in our grief, feel it, so that as we move into action, we are not numbing our feelings, but using them as a catalyst for change. A Prayer for Remembering by Sarah Lewis. As I rode my bike into work, I noticed a flower growing in a crack of the sidewalk. Not just any flower. It was a red poppy. I had to stop and sit with the flower, for it seemed to have something to tell me. Since World War I, 100 years ago, the red poppy has been a symbol of remembrance for those who died in war after Surgeon John McCrae's poem In Flanders Field inspired the symbol. After all the destruction and death, a field where battle had occurred was covered with red poppies. Here today, what does this stubborn poppy growing on the side of the road have to tell? Who are we meant to remember? The poppy was there for everyone. It seemed to say, remember it all. But I said, there is too much destruction and pain and grief and fear and anger and death in the world today. Is remembering it ever enough? No, replied the poppy. It is not enough, but it is the first step. Remember. If we do not remember, how can we learn? How can we change? Ah, yes, I said back to the flower on the side of the road. But remembering also hurts. I know, the flower replied. Sometimes it hurts. We grieve, we mourn, because we love. I took that message from the flower, and I got back on my bike and rode on with this prayer in my heart. Great love that holds us all. Help us to remember those we have lost and hold their memories in both love and honor their hearts. May the love we feel for them inspire us to use our lives in the service of a greater love. May we honor the past by cultivating a safer and more peaceful future. May it be so.
I feel very lost this Memorial Day. There's so much that gets lost in the kinds of things that we talk about on this holiday. What gets lost while we are poolside grilling burgers and wearing flip-flops is that this holiday is for remembering the 1.3 million Americans who've died while performing military service for this country. What gets lost when we are laying wreaths on graves is that it was Black families, many still enslaved, who started this holiday as Decoration Day. Black families who gave us what we now call Memorial Day. What gets lost while we are counting the soldiers who've died for our country is that the war in which we lost the most soldiers is the one in which we were fighting ourselves. What gets lost is that for every soldier who comes home in a casket, there are untold numbers of soldiers still fighting wars in their minds against unseen forces, against themselves and their own families. Soldiers fighting to get medical care, mental health care, benefits they are owed, benefits we owe them. What gets lost is that in our efforts to reduce casualties overseas, we've produced so much military hardware that we can't use it all. And we sell it to local police forces. And now we have militarized police in our neighborhoods. What gets lost is that we have an invisible military walking our streets, concealed carry, gun shows, no background checks, high-velocity ammunition, politicians saying, gosh, there's nothing we can do. People have their rights. What gets lost is that most of us don't want this. We don't want to live this way. What gets lost is that this is not the freedom our soldiers lived and served and died for. This isn't any kind of freedom at all. Freedom to live in fear all the time. The freedom to cry all night with worry for our children. The freedom to scan the parking lot before going into the grocery store or a house of worship. This is not freedom. It's not freedom. We know that thoughts and prayers aren't enough. We know that. But what gets lost is that sometimes in between the breaking news and the point of action, thoughts and prayers are all we've got. We need to stop and feel what it feels like to be lost. We need to pray, my God, how long is this going to go on? When will freedom finally come? Without this kind of prayer, this kind of lament, we get numb. And then we accept this story that nothing can be done. And then we really are lost. This house, this church, this time of worship, this is the place where we bring our thoughts and prayers. This is the place where we let ourselves be lost for a little while. Thank goodness there are such places. This is too heavy to carry all the time. These pews you're sitting in can hold what you're carrying. Set it down. Let us rest in our grief, in our lostness, in our pain. Feel what you're feeling. Let yourself be lost. Gracious Spirit, guide us through our lostness. Give us a map through our grief. Help us to feel our rage and honor it. Thank you for giving us each other, so none of us has to carry this weight alone. Amen.
singing with you, helping each other to make it through. This is the sound of voices too. This is the sound of voices too. This is the sound of voices three, singing together in harmony, surrendering to the mystery. This is the sound of voices three. This is the sound of voices three. This is the sound of all of us, singing with love and the will to trust. Leave the rest behind, it'll turn to dust. This is the sound of all of us. This is the sound of all of us. This is the sound of one voice, one people, one voice, a song for every one of us. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice.
So beautiful. Thank you. I'm just glad to be here with y'all today. Not as your minister, but just as a person, as a Unitarian Universalist, as a mom. This is the space that we create that can hold all of this, and I'm just so grateful for all of y'all. Thank you. The offering will now be gratefully accepted, and I'm going to stay up here and clean up. Now I got to preach this sermon. Whew. Thanks for being there with me. I watched a documentary. I love documentaries. And I watched one recently about the first symphony of British composer Havergal Brian, known as the Gothic Symphony. Ever heard of it? Not me either. It was published in 1927, but had only been performed in its entirety 4 times. There are some who say this symphony is cursed. I had to know, what does that mean? A cursed symphony. So I was imagining something like a scary movie where everyone who tries to perform the music meets with an untimely fate. Mysterious deaths, missing musicians, haunted instruments that play on their own, the Phantom of the Opera. But upon watching the documentary, I realized that the curse was nothing that dramatic. The truth was that Havergal Brian's First Symphony was simply so big that no one could pull it off. The work is almost 2 hours in length, and the score calls for as many as 200 instrumentalists, 4 brass bands, 6 choirs, and an orchestral organ. At least 500 musicians. The movie shows producers struggling to piece together enough ensembles from around the country to fill all the parts, to find a venue where they can all have a seat on the stage, and to organize all these people in rehearsals. It was even a struggle to fit the conductor's score onto the podium. There were so many parts that the pages had to be taped together into this giant patchwork of music. There's this funny moment in the movie where the production team runs into another inevitable snafu, and one of them puts their hands up and says, "Well, you know what they say, the show must go on." And the conductor looks at them and says, "Must it though?" The curse of the Gothic Symphony wasn't a mystery after all. It turns out that the thing is just too damn big. It took over a year to organize and rehearse. Most performers outside of theater and opera just don't want to give that much of their performing career to just one piece of music. Havergal Brian's vision was expansive, but he forgot to factor in the most important element of making music, the human beings. And so the curse continues to haunt. Why did people undertake this thing? It reminded me of the famous words of Mount Everest explorer George Mallory, who, when asked why he wanted to climb the mountain, said simply, "Because it's there." Of course, Mallory said this right before undertaking his fatal attempt up the mountain. Some dreams just feel too big. Our brains don't have the capacity to really grasp the scope and scale of an Everest or a Gothic, and we tend to move in one of two directions. One, the most common one, is just run away. Too big. Pretend you didn't see it. Maybe it'll go away. And then we quietly remove it from our bucket list and think of something more manageable to spend our time on. This strategy has the effect of returning us to our status quo. Everything normal, calm, copacetic, manageable. But something inside us gets sacrificed when we camouflage ourselves so a big dream can't find us. Another strategy is to accept a label like eccentric or chaotic or certifiable, and then forge ahead. Some dreams are just worth it, right? And hey, you'd rather have a crazy dream than no dream at all. It must be a fun way to live if you can swing it, but like Havergal Brian, a person in pursuit of a too big goal often tends to lose touch with the most important factor in any human experience, other humans. Most of us just can't live in abstractions for too long. We need something tangible to tether us to earth, and it can be hard to keep up with such dreamers. There is another strategy to pursuing a big dream. Start with a smaller version of it. Or, as author Adrienne Marie Brown says, ask what is the next smallest, most elegant step you can take toward this dream you're dreaming. People do perform symphonies, happens all the time, but it takes years of practice, weeks of rehearsal, and lots of money to pull it off. Where it really begins is with each musician in their practice room, cutting wood, on their own, noodling through the passages, giving love and attention to every note. And knowing that it's impossible for one musician to play a symphony alone. It's a team effort, can't be played any other way. What always amazed me about playing in an orchestra or a band is the trust that builds among musicians, all invested in one goal, each only able to play their part, but everyone else counting on you to do the thing that only you can do. Each moment invested in the practice room becomes a heartbeat shared with everyone else in the ensemble, recreating that too big vision of a creative soul who heard the music and wrote it down. Now, Unitarian Universalism has its own unfinished symphony, the sixth principle. Raise your hand if you know the sixth principle without looking. Okay, 1, 2, okay. It's the one everyone always forgets. We don't have any trouble remembering the first principle, do we? The inherent worth and dignity of every person. That's me. I have inherent worth and dignity, right? Most people can remember the seventh principle, the interconnected web of all living things of which we are a part. That's us. That's our belonging. And it's our belonging to something greater than ourselves. I think our congregation also has the eighth principle in mind. Since it's the newest one, it's long, so maybe we don't have it memorized yet, but we know what it's about. Inviting diversity and accountability into our work as we seek to dismantle structural oppressions. But between the second principle and the sixth principle, things get a little murky. Something about a search for truth and meaning, something about democracy, I think. But the sixth is special. That's the one that when people hear it, they often say, oh yeah, I never would have remembered that one. In fact, I mentioned to my kiddo that this is what I was preaching about. I said, do you know the sixth principle? I bet Chris knows what they did. They start singing. You did it too. 1, each person is worthwhile to be kind enough. Yeah. The sixth principle is the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Oh, yeah. I have a theory about why this is the hardest one to remember. I mean, maybe it's just because it's near the back. Maybe that's all it is. But I think it's more than that. I think the sixth principle is our Gothic symphony. The goal of world community. Peace, liberty, and justice for all. I mean, can we even imagine that? It's just world peace. That's all. It's so big. It's so complicated. How would you begin? How would we succeed where billions have failed? I'll confess, when I see the sixth principle in our list of principles somewhere inside, I do shake my head a little, maybe even have a little laugh, because there is a bitter, cynical place inside me that wonders what our UU ancestors were thinking about when they wrote this one. Now, I know that the authors of the original principle, drafted back in the late 50s when there were only 6 principles, had seen Hiroshima and Nagasaki erupt in mushroom clouds. They could remember when 10 million died in Ukraine to famine and genocide. Could not forget 6 million Jews murdered, plus millions of Black, disabled, gay, and trans Germans who also died for being outside the margins. They saw the nations scrape the debris of these tragedies together into a pile into a foundation of some kind and build the United Nations upon it. I know that they did not build their dream of world peace on marshmallows and rainbows. I know that when the current version, what we now know as the sixth principle, was written in the late 70s, the authors of that version had seen both the photographs of Vietnamese children running for their lives and the soldiers coming home from that place with their light in their eyes completely extinguished. They had marched in the streets for civil rights, for people of color and women and queer folk, and could easily remember the assassinations of Dr. King and Malcolm X and Bobby Kennedy, had seen the film footage. It was like they were there. I know that they did not build their dream of world peace on thoughts and prayers. But these Unitarian Universalists who gave us the sixth principle weren't yet living in a world of school shootings. They didn't yet have a 24-hour news cycle, nor social media influencers, nor Fox News. They were living in a world of rapidly heating atmosphere and mass extinction, but they weren't really aware of it yet. The times we are living in will always feel like the worst possible timeline. But seriously, I don't want to know how much worse it's going to get. It was hard to even write this sermon, really, because Wednesdays are my writing day, but after the news on Tuesday, I really felt pretty numb, and it was hard to move, much less think. And all I really wanted to do was go down and stand in front of my child's school and tear my clothes and weep and keep anyone from going inside. But the tears wouldn't come because it feels like some kind of horrible Groundhog Day time loop where I hear the echo of my own words saying, "Not again, not again, not again, not again." And then it dawned on me that this is when I need the sixth principle more than ever. For one thing, it reminds me that our faith is audacious enough, age after age, to say that the suffering of the world is worth confronting. There are many people of faith in this world who have given up. That's true. They've conceded that individual liberties are their God now. Individuality is their highest value. They will lay anything in front of that altar, including their own children. We are living in an idolatrous nation, and its God demands human sacrifice. Our sixth principle reminds us that we do not serve that God. Those values are not our values. Our altar blossoms with the blooms of peace, roses that are thorny and wild but heavy with the scent of love for other people. We look around us at the horror and evil in this world and we say over and over, it's peace we want. We want peace. Other communities are telling people to get over it. Give it to God in prayer. We can't understand the plan. The poor you have with you always. But our faith, through our sixth principle, says that peace cannot coexist without justice. No. Peace cannot coexist with injustice. That true liberty can only exist when it is for all. The sixth principle tells me that I do not have the right to rest on thoughts and prayers. We have a goal of world community. By being here, by being a Unitarian Universalist, I've committed to that goal. And I have to strive for it, even when it seems eccentric, chaotic, certifiable. It's not a goal I can ever hope to reach alone. If we mean to have any hope of realizing this big dream, we have no choice but to do it together. I have to set aside some of my individual liberties, real or imagined, in order that all may have liberty. I have to seek justice for other people, even when it means that my own experience of the world will become very different. And it means that in order to play my part, I need to spend time in the practice room, chopping wood, learning my lines, earning the trust of the players around me. Community building requires us to do our internal work. For if we don't live lives of peace, we will never have a world of peace. Committing to healing my own trauma, to being present and non-judgmental when confronted with another person's trauma, committing deeply to nonviolence. These are just a few of the internal battles that we fight in order to build peace. My colleague, the Reverend Sean Dennison, had this to say about the sixth principle. As naive or impossible as the sixth principle may seem, I'm not willing to give up on it. In the face of our culture's apathy and fear, I want to imagine and help create a powerful vision of peace by peaceful means, liberty by liberatory means, justice by just means. I want us to believe and live as if we believe that a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all is possible. There is no guarantee that we will succeed, but I can assure you that we will improve ourselves and improve the world by trying. The first enemy we have to defeat in our pursuit of world peace is cynicism. So, I'm going to invite you into a brief time of silence with me in which we are going to imagine world peace. I'm inviting you to give yourself time to confront your criticism and your cynicism, rather, by really imagining the realized goal of world peace. And when that cynical voice comes up that says, "This is silly or crazy," you can say, "Hello, old friend. I hear you, but I'm committed to this work, so get on board." So I invite you to breathe in with me, if it feels good. Release that breath. Close your eyes if you wish. And then imagine world peace, whatever it looks like, whatever comes to your mind. Good. Now that we've done the thoughts and prayers thing, I invite you to turn to someone near you and say, "I need your help to make this happen." And, oh, look at your faces. You look more peaceful already. I love it. And as you're headed home today, maybe as you're sharing coffee together after service, maybe as you're scrolling through social media, think of the next smallest, most elegant step you can take. Maybe for you, that step is simply to admit to your friend how cynical you feel about this. Naming it helps to shrink it. Maybe the next step you can take is to hug your kids or your grandkids extra tight and tell them you feel afraid, but you'll always be here for them And you can handle hearing about their fears if they want to share. Maybe the next smallest, most elegant step you can imagine is sitting down on the floor of your senator's office and not leaving until they send for somebody to carry you away. I don't know. I mean, maybe. But take the next step. Take the next step toward world peace. It's a worthy goal. Amen.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children, keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children, keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children, keep the circle whole.
Musicians, thank you so much. You brought so much to this service, and also you helped keep me standing upright in the pulpit. I really appreciate it. Becky Heel, Nikki Blackburn Fuller, Kathleen Wilson, Jim Thornburg, and of course, David Owens. Thank you. And thank our hospitality team as well, our greeters and coffee folks. When you see them, thank you. Thank them for their contributions to our service. So, tickets for the dance. Today you get a discount. Also, the picnic. And this weekend, if you see one and they consent, would you hug a teacher or a soldier for me? For you? They need us right now. Let's close our service with these beautiful words by Eric Williams. The world is too beautiful to be praised by only one voice. May you have the courage to sing your part. The world is too broken to be healed by only one set of hands. May you have the courage to use your gifts. May you go in peace.
My life flows on in endless song, above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? Lie, 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 lie. When tyrants tremble as they near, the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cells and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?